Hi everybody, this is the Prospect Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, the Hut, welcome back to Prospect Hut. I hope you like this video. We're going to talk about something a little offbeat here, because obviously with the playoffs going on, there's not a lot going on with the Mets prospects. Not yet anyway, until we get to the Arizona Fall League and when that begins. But there's been a lot of sort of pushback from a particular place, and that's from the Diamondbacks and their owner. He's been really bitching and moaning over the last day or two about the finish to their season. And obviously it did not go well for them. I would mention, before we get into this, last week the Diamondbacks had an 8-0 lead against the Milwaukee Brewers in Milwaukee, and they blew that lead and lost the game on a Sunday. So if the Diamondbacks owner has a problem, he should look at his team rather than complaining about all these other things and blaming people like Jordan Montgomery for his problems. His problems aren't anyone else's problems. His team had a major loss last week, the second Sunday to the end of the season, that wrecked their year. And that cannot be overlooked. That has to be discussed. But here in this, he's complaining about the doubleheader debacle. This is from the New York Post. Diamondbacks owner blasts Mets Braves doubleheader debacle after his team misses the playoffs. Well, like I said, his team screwed up during the week. They had a lot of bad losses and did not play well the last week. Diamondbacks owner, and looks like a curmudgeon, Ken Kendrick, is livid with MLB over the scheduling snafu that contributed to his team being on the outside looking in at the playoffs. Kendrick joined Arizona Sports Burns and Gambo and ranted about the logistics of how the Braves and Mets played a doubleheader on Monday, in which the winner of the first game would clinch a playoff spot and thus be disincentivized to put forth their full effort in the second leg of the slate. Now, I would mention, the Braves majorly screwed this up. I think they were trying to screw up the Mets pitching staff. They do underhanded stuff like this all the time. We know that. They are a very dishonest organization and a disgusting one to boot. And everybody knows that, I think. What they did here was terrible. But this is what Kendrick said on Monday, or Tuesday, or Monday. I predicted a week ago when this debacle at multiple levels was occurring to have the season end with 2 games yet to be played on Monday before the playoffs start. It was ill-advised, Kendrick said Monday. Agreed. I'm disappointed that MLB didn't take a more aggressive posture to insist on those games being played earlier. You think so, Ken? You think so? Those teams didn't have a game scheduled last Monday. They played 1 game on Tuesday. They could have played 2 games last Monday or 2 games last Tuesday and then not had been involved in the middle of getting canceled and scheduling games to be played after the season. The Braves did such a horrible job, completely created this cluster F because the Mets had told them, look, there's going to be a bad hurricane coming through, and we've seen the devastation. North Carolina's been devastated. But they knew this hurricane was coming in for about 4 or 5 days. The Mets told them, we play Sunday night on Sunday Night Baseball, but we'll play on Monday night. We'll play a regular game. It's not scheduled. And we'll play a doubleheader on Tuesday. The Mets told them that. The Braves said, no, we don't want to do that. We want to play Tuesday and play Wednesday and Thursday. Now, Thursday, you don't know, was a makeup day because there was a rain out in April. And because Atlanta is stupid, the Atlantic civil community is stupid, the community is retarded, they don't have a ballpark with a dome on it. And because they don't have a dome, that's why there was rain out in April, so they had to play in September. That game obviously was rained out. Now, when both games got rained out, both Wednesday and Thursday, the Braves told their fans, get this, they told their fans that the tickets for Thursday was only good for the doubleheader. So if you had ordered those tickets for the Wednesday game, which was a previously scheduled game from a year ago when the league announced the games, what game was going to be there on Wednesday. So if you had a ticket for Wednesday, you couldn't use it for the doubleheader. Thus, you were going to have to buy another ticket for the Monday doubleheader. What a wonderful, they love their fans too. So this was a disaster among many disasters. The Diamondbacks needed one of the teams to sweep the doubleheader to qualify for the playoffs. Monday's doubleheader between the Mets and Braves featured games that were canceled last week due to Hurricane Helene, a weather event that was hardly surprised given that forecast predicted several rainfall several days in advance. The teams played Tuesday, with Atlanta winning 5-1 before the next two games were postponed, with the hectic storm incoming. Now, we know about the epic game on Monday, the first game, where the Mets were down in that game 3-0, and they tied the game up and they went ahead, and then the Braves came back unbelievably, and then the big home run in the ninth inning by the real MVP of the National League, Francisco Lindor. But the article continues. As Kendrick pointed out, both teams had an off day last Monday, which the teams could have played on with proper foresight approval. From an intrigue perspective, MLB got a barn burner, especially in the seesaw battle Game 1. But once that game was over, the team that won that game wasn't going to give a shit the second game because it was almost like they punched their ticket. And that's what happens at the end of the season. When there's only 2 games left, the second game don't mean anything. The Mets advanced to play the Brewers in the wild card round, while the Braves will be facing the Padres. Now, the Mets won last night against the Brewers, and the Braves lost to the Padres. The Braves are in big trouble, by the way. The Diamondbacks, who reached the World Series last season, finished 89-73 after losing 5 of their last 7 games, which included, again, blowing an 8-0 lead to the Brewers in Milwaukee on September 22nd. That is the key loss, folks. If they'd won that game, they probably would have won the wild card. And we wouldn't be talking about the Mets going. The Mets wouldn't be going to play the playoffs. But the Mets had the tiebreaker because the Mets had beaten the Diamondbacks, especially in that last game in Arizona after they took that major hit in the game before with the home run by Corbin Carroll. But the owner of the Diamondbacks can complain all he wants, but the reality is that his team royally screwed up. They had a bad loss. They played terribly the last week of the season in games they needed to win, and that 8-0 loss is a devastating loss and just destroyed their season. That's their own fault. But then, be that as it may, he is right in what he said about the doubleheader, but he has to look at his team. He can't be complaining about all this other stuff and complaining about Jordan Montgomery too, saying that was the worst signing that he did and blaming the whole season on him. What did he expect was going to happen with a guy that didn't have spring training? I don't know. Well, let me know what you think about this video. Of course, please hit the subscribe button for the prospect type, and I'll see you later.